Today's video is sponsored by Simply Safe. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Welcome back to Outdoors with the Morgans. I'm down here at the Sawmill this morning, and it is a cool morning today, and we got a lot of rain last night. We had a cold front come in, and probably around 7:30, 8 o'clock, we had a line of thunderstorms. We probably had about an inch of rain in about an hour, which should help the food plot quite a bit. If you remember, I overseeded it the other day and was hoping for a little bit of rain. So hopefully the growing will keep up with the deer eating it. So Levi is up with the hunt man right now. Melissa's not here, so I'm just kind of getting ready, but he'll be down in a little bit, and we're going to saw some more of this red pine for his chicken coop. This 12-foot log right here, we want to get some 2x4s out of this and some purlins to go underneath the metal roof. This one here is 8 feet 6 inches long, and we'll cut some rafters out of it, like 2x6s. Should be plenty to finish it up in these two logs. I did a little preventative maintenance on the mill here. Each time before you use it, it's good to put a little ATF fluid on the rail, on your chains, things like that. And this end of the rail down here, it always gets a little bit rusty because you never run the head down quite that far. So I like to keep that cleaned up, and I like to keep her in good shape so it's ready to go when you are. All right, so out of that log there, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 2x6s. You'll use these as rafters.
Yeah. Nice stuff.
Yeah, looks good. So you got a load in the Gladiator there.
Yeah.
So I keep talking about the acorns. Explain the mast year, and nobody really understands it, right?
Yeah, it's like a phenomena, I think is what they call it. But it's there's a few theories as to why, but what's the phenomena of it is that it happens like 10 years ago. There was one with white oaks that happened like all along the East Coast, and from Alabama to Pennsylvania. Like it just such a large range. And right now it's happening with the red oaks this year, and it's a really large range. And the fact that they're all doing it the same year, and it can't be timed either. They can't necessarily say like the next one will be 2028 or something, right? So that's interesting. But there's some theories. The one is just that if the oaks produce the same amount every single year, they probably wouldn't be regenerating, because like the deer, the squirrel, the turkey, everything would keep up with that. And without us intervening, there would be no regeneration. So the one theory is that the oaks will put out an insane amount. They'll put a lot of energy in, and especially the red oaks, it's interesting because it takes 2 years to produce an acorn. So the red oaks, all of those, it took 2 years for that acorn to mature, whereas like a white oak is annually producing. So yeah, you have the red oaks take 2 years, and the theory is that it'll put all this energy into having a mass deer where it just produces tons, more than anything could eat. And then that gives it a chance at regenerating and reproducing, where you're going to have more food. There's no way they can eat it all.
It's kind of weird because it's kind of like how the locusts survive. When we have locusts, there's so many of them.
Yeah, it's
every single thing eats them, but there's so many of them, they literally can't eat any more of them.
It is really similar to that, because even that, like, they don't really know why they're 7 year, or 13 year, why that is. And that's one theory is there are annual cicadas, but there's some theories that the 7 year ones or whatever is the predators can't time that, right? They'd probably be wiped out or cut down a lot. So it's the same concept as the oaks, that it puts all that energy in. No one knows when it's coming. So then next year we're probably gonna have more squirrel, more deer, more turkey, because they have all this food this year,
Yeah.
Then that population's gonna drop when
there's not enough food for them.
These red oaks aren't putting out any acorns next year, or not a lot,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. There's a couple other interesting theories of it all as to why it happens, but yeah.
No idea. I mean, really, it's just, I've never seen it like this, ever.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Earlier, I mentioned that today's video was sponsored by Simply Safe, and I want to thank them for sponsoring today's video. If you have been watching our channel for any time at all, you know that I take home security very seriously, and our Simply Safe system is the key component to our security plan. So we've had our Simply Safe system for a little over 4 years, and it has been glitch-free since the day that I installed it. And speaking of installation, it was a breeze. I had the entire system up and running in a single evening, so you can do it yourself, or you can have it professionally installed as well. Simply Safe is comprehensive security for the whole home, with advanced sensors and cameras to detect threats from break-ins to fires, floods, and more. With 24/7 professional monitoring, Simply Safe agents are ready to spring into action to keep you safe, promptly assessing the situation, contacting you, and dispatching first responders to your address, even if you're away or unable to respond. It was named among the best home security systems of 2024 by U.S. News and World Report. That's 5 years running. Another great thing about Simply Safe is you are never locked into a long-term contract. You can cancel at any time. They're very transparent with their pricing, and it's affordable. You can get 24/7 monitoring plans starting at less than $1 a day. With intruder intervention on a core monitoring plan, Simply Safe agents can act within 5 seconds of receiving your alarm. Via the Smart Alarm indoor camera, these agents can even see and speak to intruders in real time, stopping them in their tracks. And with having eyes on the scene, they can convey critical details to 911, getting you a priority response. Bottom line is this: we love our Simply Safe security system. If we didn't, I wouldn't be here talking to you about it today. Save 50% off your Simply Safe security system plus a free indoor security camera when you sign up for a core monitoring plan and get your first month free. Visit simplysafe.com/Morgans to customize yours. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Well, I came up to the house for a bite to eat, but I want to show you something here. This is pretty crazy. Boy, the sun is out now. It's absolutely beautiful. I had this Bog Tripod, okay? I use this for a camera occasionally, and it was in the toolbox on my truck underneath the Diamondback bed cover, all right? I haven't used this for a long time. It's been in there for probably several months. When I put it in there, it was fine. When I took it out, the legs fell off. Literally, almost every screw on here is loose just from riding in the truck. It's a wonder they can keep the trucks from falling apart, you know? Well, they do sometimes, but you know what I'm saying. I think I told this story before, but I went to Colorado on an elk hunt maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and I was fully prepared. I was practicing for months in advance, and when we got there, the day before the hunt, I got my rifle out of the truck, and we were going to make sure that they were good. You know what I mean? That everything was all set. They were sighted in. And as soon as I took it out of the case, I put it on my shoulder with the sling. It fell off, and literally the scope banged off of a rock, and it was all jacked up. It was. I got it shooting good. I ended up replacing that scope when I got home, but it was a vortex, and the end was kind of bent down. And what happened was that trip across the country, that little screw that holds the sling on worked its way out, and I never checked it. You know, I had everything checked out, but then you drive 1,600 miles across the country, everything just vibrates a little bit, and that was it. I'm gonna give this thing a once over. Every one of them needs snugged up. That one's not supposed to move. This one here is actually broke. I think that's been broke for a while. This one is almost broke all the way through. Not too sure about the quality of the bog here. Yeah, 1, 2, all 3 of these are broke. This one here, cracked halfway through. Yeah, it's basically junk. I can band-aid it together, but not real pleased with this at all. So I also have the big Bog Pod, which I like, but the Bog Pod Adrenaline, I guess that's what this is called, 1 star. 1 star out of 5. Because it worked good for a little bit, and then it didn't. I didn't really use it that much. Alright, I just came down here to the sawmill. I'm not going to saw anymore today, but I put a few locust logs here on deck. Next time we'll saw these in the fence posts. But I wanted to mention something about that pine that we were sawing this morning. So I think I got this sawmilling thing figured out, and I'm not talking about running the mill or maintaining it. I've got that down, but I have been learning more about the business end of it and if certain things are worth doing or not. For example, this morning, you know, Levi and I, we sawed 2 red pine logs, loaded them right into his truck, and he's now putting them up on his new chicken coop. Well, those 2 logs, it's about 200 board feet. Those cost me only about 40 bucks. okay? Those 2 logs, if you calculate approximately how many board feet were in 1 log truckload, I bought 2 of them. It's about $40 for those 2 logs. Well, the lumber itself, for your own use or your son's use, in this case, I priced that all out at Lowe's. It's about $340 worth of lumber if he were to go to Lowe's and buy it. So, you know, it didn't even take an hour to saw those 2 logs. So you think, wow, that's $300 an hour. It's kind of like how Melissa does math sometimes when she goes shopping. I look at it as we saved $300, right? If you were to try to sell that stuff, you know, green pine is $1 a board foot. So you're looking at $150, $100 and maybe $200 tops that we sawed this morning. But it saved us $300, if that makes sense. So I think the sawmilling thing, depending on what you're sawing, I think the money is in the better hardwoods, but the softwoods for your own use. And this is just my opinion for our tiny little operation that we have here. But I'm going to bring up a good point. You know, I've had people mention that I should get like a molder. I do have a kiln. It's not set up yet, but we're going to take care of that. But to get a molder and like to saw softwoods and dry it, run it through a molder, and to think that you're going to compete with the bigger companies, there's no way we're going to be able to do that. We would never be able to do that. And I learned that from that trip to Michigan that we made. They ran a smooth operation. They did. And they really didn't have that many employees for the size of the operation that they had. But you can never compete with that trying to make a finished product. I mean, what I bought out there, you know, they bought the wood, they hauled it to the mill, they, you know, debark it, saw it into the kiln, into the molding room, and then it's pre-finished. I couldn't do that for less than $10 a board foot. Do all of that. You know what I mean? That's a lot of work. But when you're a bigger company and it takes years and years to get to that point. So I know I'm kind of rambling on, but I'm trying to make sense of this all in my head. I think for our operation right here, we're going to focus on the hardwoods, kiln drying them, and selling hardwoods. And the softwoods would just be for our use because there's just not really any money in it. You can save a lot of money, but if you're just trying to sell in our area right here, I know there's some guys that probably do pretty well at it, but you would have to stay at it hard. You know, we're into so many different things. It's not like we're a sawmill operation and this is what we do 8-10 hours every day. Not at all. But I do think over time, what we sell and what we save will definitely cover the expense of the mill and the kiln and all that. There's no doubt about that. But it's not something, let me put it this way. There's much easier ways to make money, you know? Same with firewood as well. We do, you know, we sell a lot of firewood. We give firewood away. I make most of my money, I'm just being honest, on YouTube. And everything else is just part of it. Eventually, I'll get tired of doing YouTube. I don't know when that'll be. And you know, I'll kind of be more semi-retired and I'll be down here tinkering around at the sawmill and selling firewood and digging stuff. Kind of what I'm doing now, but without filming it. Who knows when that'll be. But that's what we've been trying to do is get set up here just to be able to do a little bit of everything. You know, I like working, you know, but I know one thing for sure. I won't be thinking I'm going to make a living selling softwoods. Just not going to happen. I'll keep buying logs when I can get a deal on them. And like I said the other day or earlier, you know, we're going to be building a little shed similar to the wood shed out there by the clearing just to store tractor attachments, seasonal attachments, and more under roof storage. And I'm going to have $500-600 in the whole thing because we're using all the lumber that we saw with the mill. Otherwise, I would have probably $3,000 or $4,000 in it, you know, if I were to go buy that lumber. So I know I'm dancing all over the place here, but who I'm talking to is anyone out there that's considering buying a sawmill. And this is an expensive mill that I have. I have the LT50. If you're just a hobbyist, you don't need one of these at all. And it's fast. I mean, it's really fast, but you don't need to spend all this money if you're just a hobbyist. That's my opinion. Now, I have a little bit of bad news. I hate to admit it, but the honeymoon period with the Vermeer CTX 160 mini skid may be over. I'm really torn on this. I am. I don't know what to say, but let me show you what's going on here. So the reason I said I'm torn on this is it's an incredible machine, okay? The lift capacity is just amazing for a machine that size, which is one of the reasons I went with the Vermeer. Like the Kubotas, the Bobcat, all of them, they're a little narrower and they don't have near the lift capacity of this Vermeer. This is a 40 horsepower machine. Most of the other ones are 25. This weighs around 4,000 pounds. It's just a beast. I love it. I do. That part, but I'm getting a few little annoying things starting to happen that I don't love so much. We all know about the squeak here in the front end somewhere. It's either the idler or a roller. They're all sealed and lubricated, supposedly. I tried some lubricant on the outside, a couple things. Can't get it to go away. Now I've got another little issue, and none of this affects the operation of the machine. That's why I said I'm torn on this. I am. You know, it's worked great for me so far. I don't like the squeak. Well, let me show you the other little problem we got. This is my display right here. All the information you would ever want. You can navigate your way through here and see everything you want. Well, let me show you what it's doing. It says wait to throttle. Okay, I'm not going to throttle. Now look, I don't know if you can see that or not. It just flashes through everything and you can't do anything about it. I've tried. See, it just flashes through everything. I mean, if you were a speed reader, you could probably get all the information you wanted, but you can't make any changes on the display the way it is. And my first thought was maybe that's some type of code or something, I don't know, that it's telling you you need to do something. I didn't read the book, but I called the service department, told them about it. Long story short, this is going to the shop. I called them today and I talked to them about the squeak and the display, and I'm going to drop it off and hopefully they don't have it too long and can get everything straightened out and I don't have any more problems. And like I said, I'm really torn on this because, I mean, there's nothing stopping the operation of it, but that display, that's something that definitely needs fixed for sure. Actually, that and the squeak both does, you know. We need to get that taken care of. These are expensive machines and, you know, I don't know. I just want to get it fixed. And I will say, you know, like my skid loader, haven't had a single issue with it. Nothing at all. The excavator, the sawmill, none of the equipment that I bought I've had any trouble with. And these are two little things so far in less than 50 hours of use. And I'm not thrilled about it. So hopefully they can get both of those issues resolved and I don't have any more problems with it. We'll see what happens. But the squeak has become pretty well known. Anytime I run that machine in a video, there's comments about the squeak, and I've brought it up several times myself. And my buddy Adam, you've met him before on the channel. He's the guy that brought the roller down here, has the channel Up and Adam. He sends me a little video the other day on his phone. He's running his Bobcat mini skid, and I could hear the machine running, and I hear something else. Here, he's running the machine, videoing, and saying squeak, 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 kind of mocking me in my Vermeer. So I got to get it taken care of. If I continue to have problems with that machine, even little problems that compound, you know, that add up, I'll trade it in on a ditch witch. That's what I'll do. It was between that machine and the ditch witch because they both have the lift capacity. I don't know if there's anything else out there like those two machines, but if I continue to have problems with that, I will trade it in on a new ditch witch. Mark my words. And that is one of the things nice about the point we are at with this channel is we buy all this equipment, you know? Like when I had tractors on loan through Kubota, I can honestly say I never had one problem with any of them, except I blew the door off the MX 5400 when I was pulling it down the highway. And that was nothing to do with them or Kubota. That was my fault. It wasn't secured. But when you buy the equipment, and with my own money like anybody else, you're going to get 100% honesty. You know, neither of these issues are that big a deal, but I think if someone, I don't know if Vermeer does anything with social media or with, you know, YouTubers or anything, but I don't think you would hear about these kind of issues if that was given to somebody, you know what I mean, to use on the channel. And same with tractors and everything else. So there is something to be said with buying the equipment. There is. I always get comments about free stuff. I'm open and honest about everything, and I like that. That's the way to be. And I think this is helpful for anyone that's going to part with a buttload of money, going to buy a mini skid. I want to give them my honest opinion on it. And like I said, I'm torn on it. I am. I love the machine, not liking the little issues with it, you know. Hopefully they get them resolved and nothing else rears its ugly head. But anyway, I think that's about it for today's video. I've been rambling long enough. I appreciate y'all being here, and I will catch you on the next one.